Good day all, and welcome back to our YouTube channel, Everyday People's Voice, most especially to our subscribers and our returnees for being part of our outstanding news outlet that is devoted and committed to breaking the latest news and headlines to you as it comes. Yeah, we also bring to you news in politics, current affairs, business news, sports, entertainment, and so much more around Nigeria and the world, including where and when they happen. Because, as you all know, our sources of information are reliable and accurate. That's why we are the window to the world. Thank you all for staying tuned. But before I go further, if this is your first time of coming across our channel, please be so kind to subscribe, like, and share our video. This video you're about to watch is a must-watch video. Please watch to the end so that you will get the in-depth analysis of everything. Let's watch the video, my people.
For the day, I'm looking at two things. The first one is entitled, Before We All Crucified Dele Färot. We should ask ourselves the question, are we entitled as a people to a fair, objective judicial process that interrogates those allegations that Mr. Färot has made in that his controversial book? There are allegations, no doubt, but the weight of those allegations, do they require us to seek and pursue a fair and honest, transparent, objective judicial process to interrogate them indeed, whether they are true or not? Before we crucify Dele Färot, should we already conduct ourselves in a way that suggests that he or his action is condemnable, even before we know the truth or lack of it regarding those weighty, even seemingly wild allegations? Should we just act as though it should already begin to serve punishment right away? Because that is what is happening now. He was harassed and arrested in a manner that was not tidy. And even the police procedure were reportedly breached. And is clearly beginning to suffer punishment, even before we get the opportunity for interrogating the issues and the allegations that he raised in that book. All of us, before we start to crucify Dele Färot, should we not ask ourselves whether he's due for punishment, even before the judges can make a statement in this matter? Then should we not ask ourselves, what kind of society do we aspire for? Before we crucify Dele Färot, should we not ask ourselves, do we want the rule of law and the rule of law under a democratic system? If yes, why do we still keep those colonially oppressive legal instruments intact? Is that not why we must dove our hearts for the people of Lagos and Edo states that have decriminalized defamation in their criminal code? And we must pause to give kudos to such people, like the then Lagos State Governor, who is now the President, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. We must praise him. And we must praise his then Attorney General, former Vice President Yemi Osinbajo SAN, and those in Edo who ensured that the criminal defamation is out of the code in their states. Because they clearly understand that our aspiration as free Nigerians is to move away from the colonial vestiges where the colonialists considered us as less than human beings, certainly not free people. When we were perceived as enslaved subjects, that was the use of the criminal defamation. But we still have those codes in 34 states. The question now is, in those states, are their leaders still aspiring to deal with Nigerian citizens as though they are under colonial rule or enslaved subjects? Or why is the criminal defamation still in the books in those states? 64 years after Nigeria's independence, are Nigerians in any and every of those states in this federation, are they entitled to a life where their fundamental human rights are affirmed and protected as it's meant to be, since they are not enslaved subjects? Because that was the purpose of the colonial legal statutes that gave us criminal defamation. It's an important thing to think about before we crucify Färot, without first telling ourselves that we deserve a fair, objective judicial process that appropriately interrogates the claims that he's making. And the second point is still on the tax reforms. We want to encourage the negotiations that have started between the executive arm of government and National Assembly on the tax reform bills that the Mr. President sent. This is what we have always said here when we say that the National Assembly is the proper forum for the widest possible and most effective form of consultation, not the Governor's Forum.
Otherwise, where your own rights end, where mine begins. This is a big case. And naturally, I'd like to begin with you, madam, because you're joining us from Hertfordshire, and there's also the international angle to this. But you are seeing what's playing out. You're seeing all of the conversation online and offline. And I wonder, do you see similarities between the laws here and the law where you are? Because a lot of people have drawn inference saying, well, this is what will have happened there and not here. But speak to us. What do you see?
Thank you. Thank you for that question. From an international perspective, firstly, there's quite a lot of difference. Now, when I say there's difference in terms of how due process, how the West, how we look at due process in this country compared to how Nigeria applies due process. Now, I am quite aware that Nigerian law, there's a civil law, there's a criminal law, there's two aspects to the law. Holding Dele Färot, it's very easy to say, oh, it's a civil matter, or no, it's not a civil matter, it's a criminal matter. It's being held under the criminal code in Nigeria, in Ekiti state. It's very easy to argue all of these things. But at the heart of it all is, has due process been followed? You see, has it been followed? Nigerian law is quite complex. I'm sure we all know that. And from this conversation, we'll probably delve into it a bit more. Nigerian law is very, very complex. It's not as straightforward. It's not as easy. The West, internationally, it's a lot clearer. It's a lot clearer. Just uprooting someone from one state to another state to apply the jurisdiction in that state, it's not quite as straightforward in the international spectrum. So yeah, just to answer your question, it's different. It's different how things are done, how it's approached, how due process is applied internationally compared to how it is in Nigeria. Nigerian law it's really broad. It's all over the place. You can say yes, civil law. Lagos State applies decriminalized, defamation. It's really complex. It needs a wide mind to understand the totality of what we're dealing with here. It's not as easy. It's not a straight cut. It's not cut and dry. Right. So I will I hope that answers your question.
Oh, yes, certainly. And it's good to have these perspectives so we understand that we're not operating on an island. There's lots of examples to learn from, but still Nigeria remains Nigeria. And I'll come to you, sir.
Welcome back from the video where una just watch, my country people. I think una don hear from the horse's mouth, like I tell una before. Una see this, our leaders and our politicians, now only God know what they get in stock for us as citizens of this country. Well, I don't really get much to say. Our comment section, they open for us to discuss this matter as it be so. You dey see am so, make all of us join hands together, make we still dey talk, because now our voice, man, they go hear. Nobody go come help us talk. Our country, now we get am. I go see you again.